Hello, this is Amarjot Singh, and I'm an ICCRC member based in Edmonton, Alberta. I practice immigration law in Canada and overseas, and I take questions regularly from callers and other clients who want to ask me some questions or want me to clarify something that they don't understand. Today, I got a call from a work permit holder in Canada who wants to find out if they can marry a local Canadian citizen and then get permanent residence? If yes, then how? So let me just give you a little background about the different processes available for marriage sponsorship or like a based on relationship. So there are three categories here. One is a marriage partner, the second is a common law partner, and third is called a conjugal partner. So today we are going to discuss only about marriage partners and specifically people who are in Canada. So as you know, the marriage applications always lead to PR if you are qualified, if you are eligible. If there's no other ineligibility, then the marriage sponsorship will result in a PR. Somebody who is in Canada, like somebody who's in a work permit or a study permit or even a visitor visa, but the status is valid. That means they have not expired, they have not overstayed their visa status. They can always get into a relationship with a Canadian sponsor, Canadian citizen, or Canadian PR, and that can lead to that partner sponsoring you for PR under family sponsorships. So just to keep the matter simple for now and just to keep the discussion limited in scope, we are going to assume that the person is a work permit holder and he is marrying a Canadian wife who is a citizen, and the marriage is happening within Canada and the process will be done within Canada. As you know, the process can also be done overseas, to be processed overseas at the Canadian High Commission, or it can be done within Canada also, so that matter can be concluded within the Canadian immigration offices as well. So let us take an example on somebody who has a work permit, and the work permit is, coming to an end very soon, maybe after 6 months or 4 months, and there is little hope for you getting extension of work permit, perhaps because if you're on a PG work permit, you don't have a much option now to get a further work permit. You need a LMIA, and no employer is willing to give you LMIA, and now you are stuck. That means you cannot extend your working rights. If you perchance are in a relationship with a Canadian spouse, then that person can sponsor you for PR. So what you have to do is you have to get married first. You have to apply for a marriage license, go to a registry, apply for marriage license, get marriage done, the ceremonies and stuff. Once you have the marriage certificate, that means your relationship is now legal on paper. You can file an application from within Canada to be sponsored through that person for PR. So let us look at some implications on what sponsorship is and how does it work and what are the key things to remember when it is coming for that person to sponsor you. What does it mean for that person to sponsor you? So they have to agree to sponsor. When they say they are agreeing to sponsor, they are signing an undertaking promising to give you financial support, to give you basic needs, take care of your basic needs, and if you have any dependent children, even their needs as well. So what is basic needs? Food, clothing, shelter, other needs of everyday living, medical care, dental care, eye care, other health needs which are not covered traditionally by public health services. So when they are saying that they are sponsoring you, so they are responsible for your upkeep and maintenance and those things. So if you have no money or if you cannot do that, so every financial responsibility comes to them. All right. So that this undertaking is a binding promise of a support that they are doing for you for the length of undertaking, even if the situation changes. So the length of undertaking is 3 years. So even if you become a Canadian citizen or or something else changes, or there's a divorce, or you are out of job or homeless, that undertaking is still intact. That means the other person is responsible for you. So it's quite a responsible commitment that you have to, talk it out and say, that's they are willing to do. If it's a genuine marriage, bona fide marriage, I don't think there will be a problem. But of course, that is what they are signing for. So who can become a sponsor? Who can actually sponsor you? Your married spouse must be at least 18, cannot be less than 18. They have to be a Canadian citizen or a PR valid, with a valid PR card. They must prove that they are themselves not receiving social assistance from the government for any other reasons other than disability. So if they are themselves on welfare, they are not eligible to sponsor you. So that's one thing. They should be able also to be proved that they have the means and they have the intention to take care of your basic needs. And in some cases, in family sponsorships, they have to meet the chart for LICO, which is low income cutoff, but for spouse, it is not mandatory. So even if they have less income, less than what the LICO prescribes, their sponsorship will still continue, still go on, but they have to sign an undertaking that they can provide for the basic needs of you. All right. So who cannot, these are the conditions where it says, now you can become a sponsor. So let's look at some conditions where they cannot become a sponsor. So they themselves, perhaps if they are a PR, they have an immigration loan, or they have some kind of performance bond, or they have some, if they are married before, they have some failed, support payments, then they cannot be, eligible to sponsor you. So if they have already sponsored somebody else, perhaps they have sponsored their mother or father, but they fail to provide for the basic needs of that applicant, then they are ineligible to sponsor you. If they themselves are under removal order for some reason, maybe they are a PR and then the government is trying to remove them, you cannot marry them because they cannot sponsor you. That's clear. If they themselves are in, for example, under some crime or some jail or some kind of prison sentence, then they cannot sponsor you. Obviously, I've already talked about social assistance. They themselves are looking to get money from the welfare, so they are unable to sponsor you as well. I've got many people joining in. Thor Ragnarok, Herman Lavelo. Guys, I'm not taking any questions beyond family sponsorship right now, but if we have time, then I'll come to it. Herman Lavelo, Manpreet Singh. So SINP is good option for entry in Canada, of course. Ravneet Man, they're asking question. Good night, Janab. So, Sanu, basically, I can go to sleep. I'm not disturbing anything. So, Surinder Bhatia, any chance work permit for PF? I've got a lot of people who are asking questions, but guys, I'm not taking those questions right now. I'm just focused on family sponsorship through spouse. All right. So if there's a time, I'll come back to it. So I was discussing about who cannot become a sponsor. There are some other conditions which also bind this person not to become a sponsor, because if they themselves have these things, then they are ineligible. So if they are going through a bankruptcy, which is an undischarged bankruptcy, then they cannot sponsor you. If they themselves were sponsored by somebody else and then they became permanent resident 5 years ago, they are not. And if they divorce and they think they can marry you and sponsor you, that's not going to happen. So has to be a gap of 5 years. If they themselves have sponsored a previous spouse and 3 years have not passed since that person became a permanent resident, so they are in that period, they are locked in period, they cannot sponsor somebody else. And if they have already applied to sponsor some other wife, some other spouse, not wife, some other spouse, and that application is still pending, for example, the divorce or something happened, and then that application has not been decided yet, but they jumped on to this marriage, your marriage, and they now want to sponsor you, that's not going to happen. Lastly, if they have been convicted of some violent or sexual offense or any kind of serious crime, I don't think they will be able to sponsor anybody, let alone you. So, all right. So this is something that you should keep in mind. It's always better to check out whoever you're dating. You guys, are you clear of all these charges or not? And I think that's a reasonable checks that you have to do. All right. So. as I mentioned, either you can marry, or you can get a marriage certificate, or if you have been living here for at least 12 months for that in the past, at least 12 months. It could be last year, could be even last year or something. It doesn't have to be very recent, but if you can prove that you have had a 12-month cohabitation, there's a list of documents. It's required that you prove it, that you have been living together. Then you can be sponsored as a common law partner or even a conjugal partner. Conjugal partner does not happen in Canada, because in Canada they can always marry. I had a case of conjugal partner where somebody was in a different country, they could not marry, the sponsor could not travel there, she could not come here, and that they qualified as a conjugal partner. If you have any dependent children with you, whether they are in this country or outside Canada, those children can be included in your application for PR. So once you get the PR, you will also pass on the PR to your children as well. So those are the pretty much the basic eligibility criteria of the marriage sponsorship. Remember, just because you have a marriage license does not mean that marriage has been proven to be bona fide. The CIC always does some check and investigative work on whether this has been a marriage of convenience, or marriage just for immigration, or the marriage in real sense. So they look at all kind of documents. And if you're interested, I can send you those list of documents. Those are also given in the checklist. So you need to provide those things. If a person who is already in Canada on a valid work permit or a study permit or a visitor record, once the application is prepared, once the application is mailed to Mississauga, they can also at the same time apply for an open work permit, which was started about, I think, 2 years ago. People who are waiting here, they can continue to work. If they're already on the working status, they are on employee status, they can continue to work. If they're on a study permit, so they have to wait till they actually get the open work permit so that they can continue to live here and earn some money while they are waiting for the process to end for the family sponsorship. So that's what it is. So I've had some cases where people who were not even legal, so somebody who was here on a visitor permit or any permit, and they overstayed their visa, and now they are out of status, and suddenly, and lo and behold, they meet a Canadian spouse, and the application is successful, and the application is submitted, and even though you have overstayed your own personal stay, the immigration will ignore that violation and give you the PR if they are convinced about the bona fides of the marriage. So that's what it is. If you have any question about it, you can always ask me a question. You can just type. But right now, my topic was only for marriage sponsorship, and I've had a lot of questions here. But I'm not. This will be a little digression. Prabhjot Singh Deol. Good to hear all sort of updates. That's good. Bikram Singh is saying what? Hello, so you're doing a good job. Good, thank you very much. Thor Ragnarok, what is the present CRS score? For present CRS score, you should go to the website. That should be around 442 or 41 or something. It's not less than 440 for sure. All right, so that's what it is. SINP is running at time. I don't know, Harman Lab. Well, you need to go to the website. I always mention, I don't follow the websites. I follow the law, but I don't follow the website. What is happening at any point of time at anywhere? All right. So that's what you got to check with their own processing time on the website. Aminullah Jawad, I'm from Afghanistan. Somebody please tell me how can I apply for the master for any chance? Aminullah Jawad, applying for masters, you have to go to the university website and apply for masters there. Why are you going through agent? Why are you going through me? There's no need. So you can go to a search for the master's degree of your choice, go to the university website, apply online, and then click, go from there. And then you can apply directly for a study visa in your country, wherever you are. Great work, Muhammad Musamel. Thank you very much. Let me just take some more questions. Who else was asking some questions about Harman Lamlo? What is this? 5 bands can apply for PR. GTILTS 5 band is quite low, Harman Lamlo. Whether you're eligible or not, you're definitely not eligible for express entry. Maybe for some provincial nominee program where you have a job offer and you have sufficient points, they can give you compensate for the low points on English and somehow. So always go for higher score, and that's my advice. Ravneet Singh, man, good night, Janab. So jao. Sanu Sondeo, sir, I'm up as it's about 11 o'clock in Canada right now. You go to sleep and switch off your Facebook, I guess. So that's what it is. So just to summarize, I was talking about the marriage sponsorship visas within Canada. If you are in Canada and if you have a Canadian spouse who is a Canadian PR or citizen, you can apply for PR under family class. And if you have a legal status, you can also apply for an open work permit initially for 1 year, and it will continue. But the government is promising within 1 year they will conclude your file and you'll get the PR. So it's a good application. It's a very solid application for people who are in a serious, committed, dedicated relationship with a Canadian spouse or Canadian common law partner here, and that will always lead to PR. I've had many cases where people who were even overstayed their visa, they were illegal, still based on the marriage, they got the PR. All right, so it's always a very solid application, and the government is committed to have the family unification objective of IRPA also on a timely basis taken care of. So within 12 months, they are promising they will conclude your application. All right, guys, thank you very much for your time. If you have any question about family cases or family marriage sponsorship cases, even if you have filed the cases and the case has been declined, if there's an appeal right, perhaps in Canada, spouse cases, they do not give you appeal rights, by the way. So you have to be very careful how you choose which option. Do you want to be sponsored through an overseas process, or do you want to be concluded within Canada? One of the disadvantages of in Canada spouse application is that you will not be expected to leave Canada and go unless it's for emergency. But if you leave Canada and go out for a long time, I think that is detrimental to your in Canada spouse application. In Canada spouse application is for people who are looking to live here, who are looking to continue living, maybe they are working or studying, and they don't want to leave to have the visa issued outside. So this is meant for people who have established their family and established their lives in Canada, and they want to conclude their application within Canada itself. But if you are traveling frequently, or if you want the option to go to a different country, then you should not choose in Canada. You should choose the overseas spouse application route. I think that might be better for you. Somebody else is asking me question on, look at this question, Chandy Singh Jolly. I'm trying for express entry. I have 18 months teaching experience. I used to get salary. How can I improve salary? I do not experience certificate from the school. Whether the salary is in cash or in some other form, that is immaterial. You need some of the proof that the employer paid you the money. Maybe they have their own salary certificate, or they have only some kind of proof that the salary was dispersed to you. So that is what you will definitely need. You have experience certificate from the school principal. That is good. With the school experience certificate, you also need the statement from the principal or anybody else who's responsible, like to giving salary, that the salary was paid, and this was the salary each month, each year, and it was paid in cash. I think that should be okay. I hope that will help. Charanjit Singh Jolly. I like your name. Vishnu AR, please advise me if a wife gets in study, can I do apply for spouse? Yes, of course, Vishnu AR. I've been talking about this for many weeks, and I've done some applications as well. I think they are here in Canada on the dependent spouse open work permit. If your wife gets a study visa, there are two choices you have. Either you can apply, actually while she is applying for study visa, you can also apply with her as a family package so that you can get a work visa from New Delhi High Commission if you are there. Or when she comes here, and then you can apply later on also. It does not matter. You are eligible to get the open work permit. All right, so I hope that answers your question. Who else is asking question? Hope you're doing well. Manpreet Singh. My wife is planning to study in Vancouver. How can you enlighten me this with the guidance? So I cannot enlighten anybody. Your wife should get the admission. Wife should get the study visa, and that's it. What what enlightenment do you need from me? I'm not enlightened at all right, Manpreet Singh. So every information is right on the checklist on the Canadian High Commission of VFS. So hope you are doing well. That's the same thing. I know she's that year. I've already given my answer to Manpreet Singh on this, and then I think that you should follow. All right. Charanjit Singh Jolly Singh, thank you very much, Charanjit Singh Jolly. You're most welcome. I liked your word, jolly. I hope you are jolly and happy. All right, there's no pun intended here. But if you guys have any other question, if I don't want to answer some simple questions, the questions who have been already answered in the past. If you look at the YouTube, and I have many videos, and I've answered most basic question. But if you have some unusual question for which you cannot find the answer, you are most welcome to answer that question. All right. So, but today's session was to describe you what options are available for marriage sponsorship within Canada. I'm sure I've given some substantial information about it. Many students who are studying in Canadian colleges, while you are studying, while you're waiting for something, if you meet a Canadian spouse, maybe you meet a girlfriend, boyfriend, something, any relationship. So you can always apply for, while you're a student, you can always apply for family-based sponsorship leading to a spousal PR through that person. All right, so that option is always open to you. Thank you very much. And let me just write my number. Did I write my number here? My number is 780-707-4831. This is my phone number. Let me just write. Did I? Okay. So it's not coming in actually, but 780-707-4831, and you can always call me on this number. And it has also